My boyfriend of 7 years and my best friend of 12 plus years kissed while I was in the next room. How do I stop thinking about it? So, basically what the title says, I've been in a long-term relationship since high school, went to college, got my bachelor's, got my master's, my boyfriend followed me across states to be with me without influencing/hindering my goals, academic, career, and otherwise, we bought a house together, he's financially supported me, I do have a full-time job and pay my fair share of things, but he pays the mortgage entirely. I've never been the jealous type, I like my independence and respect his. I don't go through his phone or care about when he's out with the guys, nor does he when I'm out with the girls, etc. Additionally, he's someone that I've shared a good chunk of my life with, my secrets with, and I trusted him entirely, my best friend, we were girls together, grew together, went through a lot of life shit together, and I trusted her completely and undoubtedly also. For a little bit of background, she recently was in a whirlwind marriage and divorced in just a year. The guy was awful to her, and most unbelievably, moving in, engagement, elopement, divorce, all before I even got to meet the guy in person. She came to stay at my place for 2 nights when everything went down. Her and I were reconnecting as the dude basically isolated her from all of her friends and family. So this night, she was at my house where my boyfriend and I lived together. We were drinking a good bit, it was late fall, and the weather was great for a fire. The night in my mind actually went great. I remember telling my BF how happy I was to see her after so long. We went from seeing each other every day as kids/teens to every other week, just about in college, to just about never, at some point probably around 1 a.m. I head in because I'm cold and say I'll be back in a bit. Turns out, after sitting in the couch to pet my dog and check in with her, I was quite comfy and took a little cat nap. I knew at this time that my BF and BFF were alone chatting outdoors. This did not bother me. I've known both of these people forever, it feels like, and I'm closer with them than anyone else in my life. Around 1:30, my BF comes in and my friend trailing behind. We say quick goodnights and that's that. My friend leaves the next morning after I make everyone breakfast, and we promise to stay in touch more with one another. Later that week, my friend Snapchat messages my BF and asks him when she can come over next. I know this BC he shows me. I find that odd. Why would my best friend message him instead of me for plans? I'm weirded out and tell my BF as much. I even call my mom and ask her opinion to see if I'm reading too much into this. Again, I'm not all that jealous or anxious about my partner. My mom says to just ask my friend, but I choose not to. BC, I don't want to make something out of nothing, and although weirded out I decide to let it go. I message her to make plans a few weeks later when our work schedules align. She doesn't follow through. 3 months go by. She texts me out of the blue unprompted last week to let me know that she and my boyfriend kissed briefly outside and that my boyfriend broke it off and said it was wrong and they can't do this. She cries and is afraid of losing me as a friend, so they both agree not to say anything. She says he leaned in first. I confront my BF and he says she leaned in to kiss him and admits they shared a brief kiss and he broke it off. So at the end of the day, I don't know who technically was first in kissing who, but the stories align that it was momentary and my BF immediately put an end to it. That being said, I'm not even sure it makes me feel better. Is this cheating? Was my friend just in emotional turmoil and vulnerable? A drunken mistake? These are the 2 people I care more about than anything in the world. I just feel blindsided, betrayed, and so unbelievably sick and unwell. I truly don't know what to do. Also, every time I even question maybe it's time to walk away from this relationship with my BF that I thought was my forever, I think about our house, our dog, our furniture we picked out together, our lives we planned together, both of our sacrifices for each other. Where would I go? What would I do? My main issue with my partner right now, even if he didn't initiate the kiss, is that he didn't tell me, and especially the following week, when I was confused and suspicious of why my friend would message him, and asked him if anything happened, he said no. He lied right to my face, for months. He let me call up my mom wondering if I'm the crazy one. I just feel so embarrassed, betrayed, and hurt. These 2 people are the closest people I have in my life and have been for the last decade. I spent a few days away, blocked my friend on socials. I just returned home yesterday and told my partner we could try to work through things, but I just can't get it out of my head. I just feel very isolated in all of this because the people I would turn to are the ones who have hurt me. Has anyone dealt with something like this and moved past it? How did you deal with the betrayal and get to a place of forgiveness and return to normal? Comments. she texted him when she can come over next because she wanted to do it again, which is why she didn't text you, and during that moment of you expressing your discomfort he still didn't tell you they kissed. Op replies, yes exactly, that's the biggest issue here entirely. I get initially he's drunk and probably afraid of the relationship consequences and thinks to just not mention it, but when I specifically asked if something happened that would make her feel close enough to reach out to him personally without me knowing and he looked at me and said no, he lied right to me and that was 1000% the moment to confess what happened. But on the other hand, he did stop the kiss and did show me her message right away and left any plans up to me and didn't try to meet with her or chat with her without me knowing so. User says, in my opinion your friend private messaged your boyfriend to try go further and when that didn't work she texted you to hopefully break you and your boyfriend up, so not a friend. Also, have you asked your boyfriend as to why he didn't tell you, because if he can hide this then who knows? Op replies yes I've asked him, specifically, asked him why when I questioned it he didn't tell me then. Both of our emotions were heightened during the convo and there's been a lot of tears on both sides, but he felt afraid at the moment to say anything because my friend was crying saying she made a mistake and she didn't want to lose me blah blah, and he additionally felt afraid that I wouldn't believe him and he would lose me and so he kept quiet out of fear. But my retort to this was that the time that I would have believed you would have been that very night, or even the following morning, not months later. User 2 says, you don't have to make decisions right away but you are justified in feeling betrayed he cheated and lied, period. He has to fix this he needs to spearhead whatever efforts to fix the trust you cannot be the one giving him trust he has to work for it. He needs to first and foremost understand his why did he lean, why did he kiss, what preceded the kiss, flirting. Is he a flirty person in general, why did he lie by omission? Unless he gets to the bottom of these questions nothing will ever be fixed. He'll just keep doing the same thing, and at the end of the day you can decide to give him a chance and then change your mind after all and leave him, you're still so young. Just don't fall into the sunk cost fallacy trap. Remember that your old relationship is dead, it doesn't exist, you are no longer the same person you were in this relationship either, you need to decide if you want to build a new relationship. Op replies that's a good way of thinking about it and something for me to mull over. I haven't before thought of it that way but it aligns with a lot of my current struggles. I certainly can't go back into the relationship the same way because it just feels different now. Second story, this is probably trivial compared to a lot of stuff I see here, but I was looking for some perspective. I was working in the office the other day, and my wife too. During lunchtime, I received a notification from our indoor camera that someone was home. Since nobody was supposed to be there, I took a look and saw that my wife was having lunch with one of her male coworker. I then closed the camera. I realized that it kinda made sense because I remembered they had a training activity for their job not too far from our home. I know this coworker and I have met him a few times. I know they work on a lot of projects together. He has a girlfriend. I didn't really care, but I was expecting my wife to mention this later when we got back home. When I asked her about how her formation went, she mentioned it went well. She also mentioned coming back home for lunch, but no mention of the coworker. Would you expect your spouse to tell you about this? Some might say it speaks of insecurity on my part, and it probably does a little bit, but I guess it's the kind of information that I'm expecting to be shared between a married couple. This is something that I will communicate to her, but I was also looking from sign perspective here. Edit, this is getting more attention than I was expecting. Just to be clear, I'm not suspicious of anything. Despite many people going straight to she's cheating, I'm just looking for perspective because I feel like a conversation would be warranted, not because I want to accuse her, but because I'd like to establish some boundaries about my expectations in these situations. I'll talk to her and give an update. Comments. This is what I think too. On cameras, for me it was for safety. I have CPTSD from a domestic violence relationship I spent 6 years in and am frightened easily. If I hear a noise I like being able to check safely. I never ever check my cameras inside or out unless I hear something inside or someone is outside. Just peace of mind. I also have a 7-year-old with epilepsy, and I worry about her anytime she's quiet because she has full-blown tonic-clonic seizures, grand mal, where she loses consciousness and her whole body has severe seizures. The last bad one she was walking down the steps from the top floor to the living room and talking to me when all of a sudden she stopped mid-sentence and just fell down the steps like a rag doll and hit her head bad. It was so terrifying. After she got diagnosed, I didn't want her to be alone ever, and she really hated that because she's starting to want independence and loves to play by herself, making these storylines with her dolls, and feels too shy to play like that with anyone watching. She has a lot of things she likes to do where it felt like she suddenly lost the ability to do them, and she doesn't understand why. Instead of having to tell her she can't, I am able to just check in on her and see and hear that she's okay, so that's a major one for me. I guess peace of mind. Sorry that's long, lol.